Teenagers are lazy, ill-informed, and apathetic when it comes to politics, right? Well, those are the stereotypes that Andrew Demeter, a teenage journalist from Cleveland, is trying to change. He's a high school junior. He's already known for his confrontation with Nancy Pelosi for her stance on the NSA. Take a listen.
Why do you support the NSA's illegal and ubiquitous data collection?
Well, I do not. I have questions about the metadata collection that they were collecting, unless they had a reason to do so.
You did vote for a bill to continue funding for the NSA, though.
Yeah, of course. I don't think we should not fund the National Security Agency. No, they do many things.
Isn't the NSA a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment?
No. Some of what they do should be subjected to scrutiny in some of the things.
Well, now the 16-year-old is setting his sights on crowdfunding his youth news network called POLITICAST. The online news network will specifically target the youth of America and will feature national and international correspondents and stories. And Andrew joined me earlier today, and I asked him what inspired him to pursue this news project.
I'd probably have to say that just the youth is the literal future of our country and our world, and it's just so disconcerting right now here in America. You know, teens or people just can't vote until they're 18. So my thought process is that if you can't vote until then, people kind of think apathetically, hey, why should I even bother to understand politics? And with POLITICAST, that's something that we want to change.
You know, that's a really good point because, you know, the fact that people are too young to vote before 18, so they do turn 18 and they kind of don't know where to go from there, right? So that probably prevents a lot of even 18 and 19-year-old voters. Do you feel that's true?
Definitely, and that's the thing too. You know, we kind of phrase this the first news platform for political broadcasting run by teens, but I'd also I guess I interchangeably use the word teen and youth too, because just because someone's, you know, one day over 18 years old, I don't think we really want to exclude them from this. But the general premise is that how we want to go about doing this is we want to get the handful of teens and youth that are already interested in politics and already somewhat knowledgeable and take their knowledge, put them on air, package them professionally, rent out a studio, and package everything so it's visually appealing and engaging to people watching. And then the second step is to syndicate that content produced by these already knowledgeable teens, syndicate that via social media to inactive teens, because we know all too well that teens can't get enough of being on their smartphones. And then in so doing, we hope to really inspire the inactive youth to become active and take that next step and become, an anchor or a reporter on POLITICAST. We want everybody to be a part of this.
That's great. So this content would become then available to take with them on their smartphones, on their iPads, right? So now what do you believe, personally, what do you believe is the cause of the political apathy among the youth? And how will your network combat that, apart from what you've already mentioned?
Exactly. Well, like I already mentioned, just to go back for a second, you know, the main reason that I see is that, you know, we can't vote until we're 18, therefore, why bother to understand politics? But the fact is, like I said, the youth is the future of our country, and even beyond the youth, just in general, if people don't take an interest in politics, politics will take an interest in them. And, you know, if we're the future of our country, we just need to get active. And so the way we're going to combat this is kind of like I said, too, syndicating this content via social media to people so they can see it. And we'll also try to simplify the buzzwords of media and the bureaucratic language of government to, the motto that I kind of thought up was simplification without dilution. We want to simplify the news to the point where it can be easily understood and easily accessed without trying to take away from the actual, content and meat and potatoes of the stories that we cover.
Now, let's talk real briefly about the media climate today as it exists right now. Why do you feel that the current news outlets are failing to reach people in your generation?
Well, for one, like I said, the content is just kind of drab. They use all these big words that nobody really seems to understand. So that, for one. Also, with the advent of social media, that's one of the aspects that we really want to harness and utilize to our advantage here with Politicast. With social media, everything's decentralized. In mainstream media here in America, 90% of the media climate is controlled by 5 corporations, I think. So the flow of information is just so restricted. And that's another thing that we really want to emphasize with Politicast as well. We want to have not only the studio broadcast that we're going to rent a studio for, so like I said, everything looks professional and people are engaged and retentive, but also we want to have reporters actually go on scene. In 2016, the RNC is actually coming here to Cleveland, so that's one of the local issues that we want to cover, or local events we want to cover. It could become an issue if it's like Tampa, where it was a police state in the last RNC. And then we also want to have reporters that are traveling around the country, and also we want to get reporters and get youth involved from even around the globe. We want to have international contributors. So all those combined, I think we have a really unique and unprecedented prospect here that has a lot of potential. So
yeah, it sounds like that would be a more interesting way to access the people in your age group that in a way that the existing media outlets are not doing to engage them. So you found that the use of these, these very expansive big words, and it kind of makes news not accessible to the youth. Is that right? Is it kind of condescending to the youth?
Definitely, and going back to your last point of how we can engage the youth and kind of combat the apathy that we're facing now as far as America and the world's youth, another idea that I kind of thought of just the other day, actually, a few days after launching Politicast, the campaign here, is that kind of like we've seen in Breaking the Set on RT with Abby Martin, she integrates a lot of pop culture, music, and artwork and stuff, and I think if we can integrate that as well, it'll be an extra added bonus that the youth can kind of get engaged with. So even if you're not interested in politics per se, as far as the ins and outs and everything, I think you can still take part and convey your message in an interesting medium.
Now, even though you mentioned stuff like the pop culture references, can we still expect more hard-hitting questions like the grilling that you gave Nancy Pelosi?
Definitely, that's also one of the reasons that I kind of came up with Politicast as far as inspiration, because after uploading and posting that online after it went viral, so many people said we need more people like Andrew, and I take that with a grain of salt. This isn't about me, but just the fact that with the youth demographic, it's just so interesting and unique because like Nancy Pelosi, politicians don't expect these questions to come from just your average kid. So I think by putting youth reporters out there, kids, you see with babies, they just tell the truth, tell things like it is. So I think if we can get people, the youth demographic, like I said, out there asking real questions, I think that would be something really promising to change the very gloomy media landscape we see right now.
Andrew, thank you so much. Your project sounds awesome. I can't wait to see more from you.
Thank you.
That was Andrew Demeter, the founder of Politicast. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much.